Chosen ones, stop everything right now and listen with your spirit wide awake. This is not just another video that popped up by chance. This is a holy alarm straight from the throne room. Out of countless thumbnails scrolling past, it was that blazing 999 that seized your attention like a trumpet blast and made your heart pound. You clicked faster than your mind could process because deep inside you felt the urgency of heaven shouting, "This one is for you right now." In biblical numerology and the life of every awakened believer, 99 carries the unmistakable weight of finality, completion, and the closing of one era, so that the new thing God has spoken can break forth without hindrance. When the Holy Spirit stamps 999 across your path, He is declaring that the coming days are very crucial. Every delay is over, every cycle of waiting is ending, and the door to your next season is swinging wide open. Ask yourself, honestly chosen ones, why did 999 burn itself into your eyes today of all days? Why did your spirit leap with both warning and excitement the instant you saw it? Could it be that the God who finishes what He starts is signaling that the final countdown has begun, and everything He promised you is now being released in these very hours? Before we step into this urgent life or death word for the coming days, let's stand together as the remnant across the nation. Drop 99 in the comments right now, along with the city or country you're watching from. And if the Holy Spirit is already gripping your heart with holy fear and expectation, show a super thanks as an act of immediate obedience. Every seed you release here equips this ministry to sound the alarm to more chosen ones who are standing on the edge of their greatest breakthrough. Subscribe, hit the bell, lock in, and do not move, because what you're about to hear is the battle plan for the crucial days ahead. Chosen one, the coming days are very crucial for you. Stay ready. Heaven is speaking, and this time there is no turning back. Let's go. Whether your family feels tightly woven together right now or scattered across continents, whether the relationships are sweet or strained, whether Sunday dinners are filled with laughter or silence, God is moving. And He has deliberately, sovereignly, strategically placed you in this exact bloodline as the forerunner, the breaker, the one who carries the torch that will light the way for everyone else. Your arrival into this particular family tree was never an accident of biology. It was a divine appointment set before the foundation of the world. You were planted in soil that looked dry, cracked, and sometimes even cursed, because heaven knew the day would come when living water would pour through you and turn that wilderness into a flourishing garden. You have carried burdens that no one else seemed to notice. You have prayed prayers in the midnight hours that no one else heard. You have stood in faith when everyone around you chose fear, and at times it felt like you were standing completely alone. But the Lord saw every single step. He collected every tear. He recorded every quiet act of obedience. And now the season of restoration has dawned. Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, contains a promise that is literally unfolding over your household right now. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. What looked devoured, wasted, stolen, and lost forever is being handed back to you in overflowing measure. Take heart, you and your entire household. Stand strong and refuse to faint, because your labor in the Lord is never in vain. 2 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 7, rings across the centuries with fresh power. Be strong, and do not let your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. This is not just a sprinkle of favor here and there. This is precise strategic kingdom alignment falling into place over your family like perfectly fitted armor. A holy revelation is breaking open over your home, and you are called to carry it, to steward it, to protect it even when no one else understands yet. You are becoming the bridge builder, the atmosphere shifter, the one who refuses to let division have the final word. You are the Noah of your generation, building something the world mocks while heaven applauds, preparing a place of safety long before the rain of blessing ever falls. And when that rain finally comes, when the flood of restoration, reconciliation, and abundance finally breaks, every person who laughed, doubted, or walked away will suddenly remember who kept building when no one else believed. Every whispered prayer you breathed in secret, every time you chose forgiveness when revenge felt justified, every moment you praised instead of complained, every seed of faith you planted while standing in the ashes. None of it was wasted. The Lord has been weaving those threads into a magnificent tapestry of redemption that will cover your entire family. Skeptics will be silenced. Wanderers will find their way home. Silent sufferers will discover they are seen, known, and fiercely loved. What the enemy meant for evil in your bloodline, God is turning for good to save many lives and to bring about a deliverance no human mind could have engineered. Genesis chapter 50 verse 20 stands as living testimony over your story. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Healing is marching toward your family like an unstoppable army. Fractured relationships you wrote off as permanently broken are about to be stitched back together by hands that still bear nail scars. Prodigals are coming home, not just physically crossing thresholds, but spiritually running into the Father's embrace. Cold hearts are thawing, old wounds are closing without leaving scars. And through every miracle, large and small, the spotlight will stay fixed on Jesus, because only He could orchestrate something this beautiful. This is not the hour to shrink back in fear or to retreat into silence. Your boldness right now is paving the road for someone else's freedom tomorrow. Your refusal to quit is laying the foundation for your entire lineage to rise into something greater. You are the vessel God has chosen to shift the spiritual climate over your family, to raise the standard, to rewrite the story from one of pain and limitation to one of purpose and overflow. The pen's in your hand, not because you demanded it, but because you were formed in your mother's womb for this very assignment. And when the breakthrough finally lands, when victory surges in like a tidal wave, when impossible things become everyday testimonies, everyone in your circle will know beyond doubt that only God could have done this. No human strategy, no amount of effort, no therapy or self-help program could produce this kind of transformation. That is the scale of what is coming, not just provision, but peace that guards hearts. Not just recovery, but reunion that lasts. Not just survival, but a legacy of favor that marks every corner of your home for generations. Keep standing. Keep preparing your heart. Your obedience is unlocking something eternal. Everything you have walked through up to this moment has been training not for your own fame, but for the glory of the one who called you. You are the pipeline through which He is about to pour blessing, healing, deliverance, and restoration, not only over your life, but over every name connected to yours, and over children who are not even born yet. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a legacy that will outlive you by centuries. As this divine shift gathers momentum, you will face moments that test the deepest parts of your faith. There will be days that stretch you, nights that refine you, circumstances that feel like the exact opposite of what God promised. Do not misinterpret those moments as setbacks. They are sacred tools in the hand of a loving Father, shaping you for a glory you cannot yet contain. Just like Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, false accusation, and prison before he ever wore the robe of authority. You are walking a path that ends in restoration beyond your wildest imagination. James chapter 1 verses 2 through 3 invites you to a radically different perspective. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Right now, in this very season, the Lord is strengthening your inner man. Every tear you cried in secret, every prayer you prayed when no one was watching, every time you chose faith over fear, it has all been building spiritual muscle you will need for what is ahead. Soon you will look back and realize not one drop of pain was wasted. And here is the staggering part. This restoration is not just for you. Your family is rising with you. Even those who do not yet understand the call on your life, even those who have mocked or misunderstood your faithfulness, is planting seeds that will bloom in their stories too. You do not have to argue or convince anyone with words. Just keep walking in obedience and let the fruit of your life preach a sermon no one can ignore. Joel chapter 2 verses 28 and 29 contains a promise that is about to explode over your bloodline. I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my Spirit in those days. What God is about to do will open blind eyes, hardened hearts will soften, broken bonds will be supernaturally mended. What was scattered will be gathered, not by human effort, but by the irresistible love of God flowing through your surrendered life. The same power that called Lazarus out of the tomb is calling dead things in your family, faith, relationship, hope, joy, back to life right now. This elevation will not be measured only in material things. Though provision will overflow, it will be measured in depth. Peace, where chaos once ruled purpose, where confusion reigned unity, where division had taken root. The story of your family is being rewritten for generations to come. Even the skeptics, the critics, the ones who questioned your faith will stand in awe of what only God could do. And when they see it, something inside them will break open. They will begin to believe not just in you, but in the God who never let go of you. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 paints the final picture. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of His splendor. This is not just your breakthrough. This is the awakening of an entire bloodline, and it will not be hidden. Neighbors will notice. Cities will feel the ripple. The favor will overflow so abundantly that your family's testimony will become a beacon, showing the world what God can do with one obedient heart. The waiting season is ending. The preparation season is giving way to manifestation. The promises of God are moving from the pages of your journal into the rooms of your house. And when they arrive, the only response will be worship. Psalm chapter 126 verse 3 will become your anthem. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Beloved chosen one, there have been nights when you stared at the ceiling wondering if God had somehow misplaced your file in heaven. The silence felt louder than any storm. The promises you once clung to began to feel like distant echoes. You may have cried out, "Lord, did I hear you wrong? Was that word really from you?" But every moment of that waiting was sacred. Every delay was divine protection. Every closed door was mercy in disguise. And now the season of postponement is officially over. What looked like denial is being revealed as the most precise timing imaginable. What you thought was lost is not just being returned, it is being multiplied, upgraded, and delivered with compound interest by the God who is never late. What is coming is bigger than money in the bank or circumstances lining up, though both are on the way. This is a soul-deep generational restoration that starts in the secret places and radiates outward until every part of your family carries the scent of resurrection life. Wounds you buried so deep you forgot they were there are about to be healed by the only one who can reach them. Lies that became family heirlooms are being replaced with truth that sets captives free. Cycles you feared were permanent are shattering under the weight of glory. This is not a patch job. This is a complete rebirth of identity, relationship, calling, and legacy that will cause your relatives to look in the mirror and see the image of God staring back instead of the reflection of past pain. Isaiah chapter 43 verses 18 and 19. Thunders from heaven. Right now, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? The old limitations are being erased, and the new thing is breaking through the ground like spring after the longest winter. We often think miracles have to be loud oceans parting, dead raising fire falling. And yes, those still happen. But sometimes the most stunning miracles arrive quietly. A phone call after 20 years of silence, a heart that softens without explanation. Peace that moves into a home that has never known it. These quiet miracles carry the same resurrection power as the loud ones. And chosen one, you are about to experience both sudden jaw-dropping wonders that silence rooms and slow, steady transformations that rewrite your family's future forever. You do not need to figure out the how. You never have. Your only job is the same one every hero of faith was ever given. Keep walking forward when you cannot see the road. Just like Abraham, who left everything familiar with no map, only a promise. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 8 celebrates that kind of faith. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. You are standing in that exact same moment of sacred obedience right now. One more step and everything changes forever. This season calls for readiness, not perfection, not panic, not performance, just a heart that says, "Here I am, Lord," and a spirit that refuses to live on yesterday's bread. Because what God is releasing will not wait for those who are still looking backward. The doors swinging open over your family are moving on heaven's timetable, and when they open fully, it will feel like decades of progress compressed into moments. Addictions that have held generations hostage will fall like chains cut by an angel. Cycles of lack, strife, and brokenness will shatter. Peace that passes understanding will flood every room. This is not just for your lifetime. This is for your children's children's children to walk in the overflow of what your obedience is unlocking today. The Lord does not think in years. He thinks in forever. You are not just receiving a blessing. You are becoming a blessing that will echo through eternity. Every choice you are making right now, every time you choose faith when your eyes still see lack, every song of worship you lift when the breakthrough has not yet shown up, every quiet yes you give God when quitting would feel so much easier, is not just shaping your tomorrow. It is planting ancient oaks of blessing whose shade your great-grandchildren will sit under one day. What the enemy once branded across your family line as permanent struggle, generational shame, or unbreakable cycles is being overruled and rewritten by ridiculous, overflowing grace. What the locusts ate for decades is being handed back with interest. What the world wrote off as forgotten is about to become the story everyone remembers. Proverbs chapter 20 verse 7 stands as an eternal decree over you today. The righteous man walks in his integrity. Blessed are his children after him. Chosen one, your integrity in this hidden season is literally purchasing blessing for generations. You will never meet this side of heaven. Stay locked in. Stay planted. The new thing has already broken ground, and very soon the evidence will be so undeniable that even strangers will stop and say, "Only God could have done this." Get ready not for a mild upgrade or a little more breathing room, but for a full-scale heavenly overhaul. The kind that makes people who used to ignore you pull you aside and ask, "Wait, what exactly happened to you?" The kind that silences critics and turns skeptics into witnesses. This move of God will not stay contained inside your four walls. It will spill out into your neighborhood, your workplace, your city, and into spheres of influence you never imagined touching. You are standing at a divinely scripted intersection that was written into your bloodline's destiny long before you ever drew breath. This is the moment where heaven's perfect timing collides with decades of tears, prayers, and refusal to quit. What is about to break open over your family is not ordinary favor. It is holy revelation. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is the flawless, meticulous execution of God's original blueprint for your household finally coming into focus. You have waited. You have wrestled. You have stared at promises so long they started to feel like mirages, but the waiting room is closing. The impossible is stepping into the room wearing your address. Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22 rings like a trumpet across your bloodline right now. The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest, a mighty nation. I am the Lord. In its time I will hasten it. God's promises over your family are not vague hopes or someday dreams. They are living, breathing realities that are activating in real time. But this goes far deeper than surface-level changes. This is soul-deep identity-level renewal. Yes, you will see shifts in bank accounts, in bodies, in open doors, but the greatest miracle will happen on the inside. Hearts that have been stone for decades will turn soft and responsive. Relationships that felt dead will pulse with new life. Hope that was buried under disappointment will push through the soil like spring's first flowers. Old mindsets will crack and fall away. Bitterness that was passed down like a dark heirloom will lose its grip. Decades of distance will be swallowed up by a unity only the Holy Spirit can produce. This is not just progress. This is redemption with a capital R. Just like Hannah wept year after year in silence before she birthed a prophet who would anoint kings, your years of waiting have been holy incubation, and now the baby is crowning. Psalm chapter 30 verse 5 is becoming your lived reality. Weeping may remain for a night, but joy comes in the morning. There will be moments of jaw-dropping wonder times when every doubter in your family tree is suddenly speechless. Not because you performed perfectly, but because the fingerprint of God will be unmistakable. The ones who rolled their eyes at your faith will have no choice but to admit this had to be God. Mocking will turn to marveling. Dismissal will turn to reverence, not for you, but for the God whose kindness is on full display through your story. And do not be shocked when things accelerate. What used to take years will happen in months. What felt stuck for decades will shift in days. God is compressing time over your bloodline. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 22 is about to become your mailing address. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. This is bigger than material increase. This is supernatural atmosphere change inside your home. The air itself will feel lighter. Conversations will carry life instead of death. Oppression that once hung like smoke will be blown out by the wind of the Spirit. Your children will feel safe in a way they never have. Your parents will smile in a way you almost forgot was possible. Laughter will replace silence. Peace will replace tension. This is holy revival breaking out first in the secret places and then flooding every room. And it will not stop at your doorstep. What God ignites in your family will echo into your community, your church, your city. Your home is becoming a living signpost that shouts to a watching world. Look what the Lord can restore. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 4 will be spoken over your bloodline. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Let this sink deep into your spirit. Your story is not just about survival. It is about legacy. Your children and your children's children will eat fruit from trees you had the courage to plant in a drought. You are not just receiving a breakthrough. You are establishing a bloodline of faith, of healing, of impossible made possible. So keep standing. Watch the floodgates open, not in trickles, but in torrents. Financial restoration, emotional wholeness, relationships made new. The very foundation of your family is being rebuilt by the architect of the universe. What was broken is becoming unbreakable. What felt impossible is being delivered. This is not a moment. This is a monument, and your family will never be the same. As you step fully into this divine revelation, never forget that real spiritual renewal is not confined to the goosebump moments on Sunday morning. It is forged in the quiet, unseen choices when nobody is clapping, when you choose faithfulness over feelings, forgiveness over being right, worship over worry. This new era of breakthrough is not built on hype. It is built on alignment that shows up in daily life. Your faith has to graduate from theory to practice. It is time to live what you say you believe. Begin every day on purpose. Before your feet hit the floor, open your mouth and declare life over your house. Speak healing before the symptoms change. Speak provision before the money shows up. Speak destiny before the past shuts up. Make prayer a non-negotiable rhythm, not a crisis reaction. Have the hard conversations that heal generations. Forgive first, even when every emotion screams you are justified to wait. Serve when it costs something. Stand when everyone else sits down and panics. Intentionally craft an atmosphere in your home that boldly declares, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord and we walk in the overflow of His blessing." Do not overlook the power of small faithful acts. A kind word to a screaming toddler. A patient answer after a brutal day. A quiet gift to someone who can never pay you back. These are the bricks that build kingdoms. Keep a gratitude journal so your children can one day read how faithful God was long before the Red Sea parted in your story. If old family habits, toxic traditions, or fruitless routines no longer fit the future God is building, lay them down with honor and step forward unencumbered. If chaos has been normal for decades, dare to believe that peace is not a fantasy. It is your inheritance. When the favor finally becomes impossible to ignore, when debts disappear, when prodigals walk through the door, when health returns, when joy moves in permanently, stop everything and give God loud, unashamed praise. Let your kids hear it. Let the neighbors overhear it. Let gratitude become the native language of your home. This journey is not meant to be walked alone. Surround yourself with people who still know how to swing the sword of "It is written" when the enemy whispers lies. Lovingly create distance from chronic negativity that tries to drown out faith. Become the encourager someone else is starving for today. Send the text, make the call, speak life. The restoration God is releasing through you is personal, but never private. He is redeeming entire bloodlines through surrendered hearts like yours, because restored bloodlines restore cities, restored cities restore nations, and restored nations shift the course of history. Chosen one, you are a divinely positioned domino in the greatest move of God this generation will ever see. Carry the favor with humility and generosity. Blessing multiplies in hands that are quick to give it away, quick to lift others, quick to point back to Jesus. This is not just your season to rise, it is your season to raise an army as you ascend. May your home become a house of peace where faith is contagious, a living epistle that screams to a skeptical world. Heaven is real. Restoration is real, and it is available right now. Chosen one, now that we have walked together through these electric eternity-laden days that pulse with divine urgency. Days that demand every part of you stay locked in readiness as history itself bends toward redemption. Let us pull the lens back and see the breathtaking scope. The preparation God has been working in your secret place is not just about you becoming a better version of yourself. It is infinitely larger. The Father is weaving a masterpiece on a scale that will take your breath away, and your thread of obedience is being sewn into something massive, something global, something that will outlive us all. Those random encounters lately, the repeating numbers, the conversations that felt orchestrated by heaven, the doors that flew open without you lifting a finger, they are not accidents. They are divine appointments. They are invitations into rooms you never applied for, conversations you never prepared for, and assignments that will touch thrones and kingdoms you cannot yet see. Look at Scripture's pattern. Joseph catapulted from prison to prime minister in one day. Esther, an orphan girl, crowned queen in a foreign empire, just in time to save her people. Daniel, a teenage captive, elevated to the place where kings could not make a move without his counsel. God is doing it again right now on a level we have never seen. That unexpected email, that invitation from someone completely out of your league. That influential voice suddenly wanting to sit down with you. These are not flukes. These are kingdom setups straight from the throne. The same God who positioned Esther for such a time as this has positioned you for such a time as right now. The battles you survived were never just personal. They were boot camp for territorial authority. The oil that has been pressed out of you in the secret place is about to be poured out in public arenas. So when that door swings wide, when that phone rings, when you suddenly find yourself standing before people who shape culture, do not shrink back in unbelief. Lift your eyes, open your mouth. The Spirit of the living God will give you words in that very hour that will shift nations. You were born for this exact moment, chosen one. The world is waiting, whether it realizes it or not, for the light you carry to step boldly into darkness and declare with unshakable authority. Thus says the Lord. This is the essence of divine strategy at work, where your obedience in staying alert positions you as a key player in narratives far larger than your imagination could conjure. As you embrace this readiness, envision it expanding outward, drawing you toward enigmatic invitations that challenge your perceptions and propel you into roles of profound purpose. It's in these intersections of faith and fate that true transformations occur, where the preparation we've discussed becomes the foundation for stepping into mysteries laced with authority, secrets, and celestial insights. Picture yourself equipped not just to receive personal blessings, but to engage with emissaries who carry keys to unlocked destinies, bridging gaps between the seen and unseen worlds. This shift isn't abrupt. It's a natural progression in God's unfolding plan for you, where the vigilance you've cultivated now alerts you to hidden doors swinging open, inviting you into conversations that echo biblical callings, like those of Esther or Joseph, who were thrust into positions of power at critical junctures. The coming days demand this holistic preparedness, encompassing not only your spirit, but also your willingness to navigate unexpected alliances and revelations that could alter family legacies, community dynamics, and even broader societal shifts. Feel that pull in your spirit right now, that sense of anticipation building, as if the very air around you hums with possibility. It's God signaling that your story is intertwining with larger plots where government figures or influential leaders, touched by divine selection, become instruments in fulfilling prophecies over your life. Staying ready means being open to these divine setups where a simple click or a timely encounter spirals into life-altering dialogues, unveiling truths about your lineage, your gifts, and your role in an ancient game of light versus shadow. As we lean into this, allow your faith to expand, embracing the thrill and the trepidation of what such meetings might entail. Profound wisdom shared in shadowed chambers, offers of alliance that test your loyalties and insights into forces shaping global events. This is where your crucial preparation pays off, equipping you to discern, to stand firm, and to emerge transformed, carrying authority that ripples outward. So hold steady in this excitement, chosen one, because the urgency of these days is leading you directly into realms of intrigue and purpose, where heaven's plans manifest through human vessels and your response could echo through eternity. Let's explore this further, uncovering how these orchestrated connections fit seamlessly into the readiness God is building within you, revealing layers of destiny that will leave you in awe of His masterful design. During a typical afternoon, as the urban environment buzzes with its familiar cadence, your routine experiences a sudden and unforeseen disruption. A distinct rap at the entrance cuts through your normal activities. Initially, it comes across as tentative, nearly exploratory, but it quickly becomes resolute and persistent. When you pause before answering, presuming it might simply be a nearby resident or a work associate dropping in, you proceed to unlock the door and your respiration halts momentarily. In front of you appears a lofty, mysterious individual whose bearing demands admiration. His attire radiates official power, and still his appearance is entirely new to you. He remains silent, yet his aura carries significant depth. Without uttering a single phrase, he extends a document toward you. This is no standard correspondence. Its mass astonishes you. With the material being opulent, it feels abundant and considerable. It is secured with a detailed wax insignia. The emblem immediately captures your attention. At the outset, it looks like a basic combination of icons, but as illumination plays upon it, you detect additional layers, a glowing intricacy that resists easy interpretation. Coils, archaic symbols, feathers, and orbs appear to materialize from its exterior as though possessing vitality. The motif seems consecrated, as if it encapsulates a holy core. A quiver travels through your digits as you fracture the seal expectation winding firmly within your torso. Within the document, the handwriting is exquisite, with every mark intentional, graceful, and exact, as if the author comprehended the everlasting significance of their expressions. The content states, "Your attendance is solicited by James, the individual selected by the Almighty. He holds an understanding that exceeds the comprehension of ordinary people. Ready yourself. He is aware of more than you suspect." The phrases appear to reverberate throughout the space, burdened with implication and intrigue. The designation, "the one selected by God," resonates in your thoughts like a chime. There is no basic administrative authority. The correspondence refers to a person whose position is designated by the heavens, someone who connects the ethereal and the governmental, exercising sacred perception in conjunction with earthly influence. Murmurs of his capabilities circulate in your recollections, accounts of visionary precision and wondrous actions, but the majority reject them as legends. Nevertheless, here you stand grasping evidence of his reality, the document's heaviness bearing down on your hand like a tangible validation of something exceptional. You look again at the quiet courier seeking explanation. What is the purpose of this delivery to you? What does it signify? The unknown person encounters your stare, inclining his head gravely, as if to verify the criticality of the summons. Then, without any verbal exchange, he pivots and departs, his strides diminishing into the horizon, abandoning you solitary with your reflections. Your pulse accelerates. Why have you been selected? What intent could an individual appointed by the Almighty hold for someone as commonplace as you? Inquiries cascade through your consciousness, their burden intensifying with each passing second. The correspondence provides no indication regarding the objective of this encounter, merely the disturbing implication that this person comprehends all about you, your concealed matters, your remorse, even realities you have interred profoundly inside yourself. Might this represent heavenly involvement? Is this the instant when all elements of your existence undergo alteration? In the sacred writings, we observe instances of everyday individuals summoned to remarkable objectives. A herder in the desolate lands, Moses was called by the Lord via the flaming shrub, and assigned the duty of liberating the Israelites, as described in Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 2. In a comparable manner, a modest young lady named Mary received a visit from the messenger Gabriel, bearing the transformative announcement that she would give birth to the Savior, according to Luke chapter 1, verses 26 through 38. What if this occasion serves as your equivalent to the flaming shrub? What if this correspondence represents your holy vocation, your intellect hastens back to the document's foreboding statements? They are aware of more than you suspect. Could this individual perceive directly into your essence? Has the Almighty disclosed your history, your difficulties, and even your unvoiced supplications to Him? The notions evoke a blend of reverence and apprehension, and yet there is no refuting the attraction within your inner being. Perhaps this explains why Esther received the message, and who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. As Esther, chapter 4, verse 14. Questions. Abruptly, the minor worries that occupy your scheduled time, constraints, chores, interpersonal arrangements appear absurdly trivial. The reality you believed you comprehended feels remote, its stable foundation quaking under your stance. With the correspondence gripped securely in your grasp, you acknowledge that retreat is impossible. Whatever anticipates you during this gathering will deliver insights you were unaware you required. What might exist on the opposite side of this interaction? What revelations concerning yourself, your fate, and the divinely designated person summoning you will come to light? As you ready yourself to venture into the unfamiliar, the sole assurance is that this instant, this sacred invitation will alter all aspects. The expedition to the rendezvous location resembles entering the pages of a fable, one where the boundaries between actuality and legend dissolve. Departing from the tumultuous heartbeat of the metropolis, your route constricts, guiding you toward overlooked regions. The avenues become more hushed, the structures more elevated, their weathered exteriors, murmuring confidences from epochs long gone. The recognizable elements recede into the peculiar, and before long you reach an imposing gateway, adorned with elaborate designs that appear to morph and twist beneath your scrutiny, resembling animated tendrils preserved in eternity. No indicators designate this site, no sentinels monitor it, yet its very existence conveys intent. This is a haven designated solely for those who receive the call. Traversing the entryway, you proceed downward into a subdued passageway where the atmosphere itself feels substantial, dense with primordial vitality. The barriers, constructed from sleek obsidian rock, absorb the dim glow, generating a setting of profundity and enigma. Each advance you make is paired with the subdued resonance of your footfalls, as if the quietude itself possesses consciousness, devouring every noise. The chilled rock under your soles enhances the aura of veneration and foreboding. What anticipates you at the conclusion of this corridor? In front of you loom two massive portals, their exteriors vibrant with inscriptions mirroring the emblems on the document's seal. Orbs, feathers, and undulating motifs seem to throb, subtly echoing with a vibration that pulses through the surroundings and into your core. The etchings are so elaborate that they appear to surpass mortal artistry, more celestial than terrestrial. A chill courses along your backbone as you place your palms upon the portals, pausing briefly. What resides on the other side, inhaling deeply, you press them apart. The interior space is a marvel that transcends description, expansive and obscured. Its lofty vaults dissolving into obscurity while innumerable tapers shimmer gently, their radiance oscillating in harmony as if participating in an intentional choreography. It seems as though the blazes are observing you, their motions aligned with an invisible cadence. The area is replete with artifacts, items fashioned from precious metals like aurum and argent, along with enigmatic substances that elude worldly classification. These relics repose upon bases of alabaster and jet, each emitting a subdued vitality that causes prickles along your epidermis as you navigate among them. Chosen one, scattered across this vast chamber are ancient artifacts and priceless treasures that seem to pulse with life all their own. Among them stand statues carved with such exquisite detail that their frozen faces almost breathe eyes wide with a mixture of holy awe and trembling fear, as if they have stared straight into truths too vast and terrifying for mortal minds to hold. Massive scrolls lie partially unrolled across marble tables, revealing intricate maps of star systems you have never seen in any earthly sky. Precise drawings of celestial realms and heavenly architectures that bear no resemblance to the constellations you grew up tracing with your finger on summer nights. Thick books, bound in strange, supple leather, rest open on pedestals and shelves, their titles written in languages that shimmer and shift when you try to focus on them. The air itself feels thick with power, saturated with a timelessness that makes past, present, and future feel like they are happening all at once in the same breath. It is as if someone has pulled back the curtain of eternity just enough for you to glimpse a repository where the deepest mysteries of God are carefully guarded and preserved. At the very heart of the room stands a throne so magnificent it steals the air from your lungs the moment your eyes land on it. It is not merely a chair. It is a seat of absolute authority, carved from materials that catch and refract light in ways no earthly stone ever could, adorned with the same sacred symbols etched into the massive doors you passed through moments ago. Its presence commands immediate reverence. Directly behind it stretches an immense window that rises from floor to ceiling, framing a breathtaking view of the city far below. From this impossible height, the lights of the sprawling metropolis look like scattered diamonds tossed across black velvet, tiny and fragile against the endless night. Yet the glass itself glows with a soft inner light, not reflecting the city, but radiating something far more alive, something that feels less like a window and more like a living portal, humming with energy from realms that exist far beyond the physical. The atmosphere grows heavier now, pressing gently against your chest with a weight that is not entirely of this world. It is not just the scent of ancient parchment, melted beeswax, and polished cedar filling your lungs. There is something else woven into the air, something invisible yet undeniable, a presence that feels both wonderfully holy and terrifyingly other. You suddenly feel small, like an uninvited guest who has wandered into a place reserved only for those who walk in the manifest favor of the Most High. This chamber does not belong to ordinary men. This feels like the private sanctuary of someone who has stood in the council of God, where human logic collapses and only raw, trembling faith can keep you standing. Then, without warning, everything changes. The flames on the countless candles flicker wildly for a split second, as if bowing in recognition. A ripple moves through the room like the charged silence right before thunder explodes. You are no longer alone. The entire space seems to hold its breath in reverence, waiting, anticipating the arrival of someone extraordinary. Scripture is filled with moments like this, places set apart for divine encounter. Remember Moses ascending the trembling mountain where the very ground shook and smoke billowed because the holiness of God had descended, as Exodus chapter 19, verses 6 through 19 vividly describes. Remember Isaiah stepping into the temple and seeing the Lord high and lifted up the foundations, shaking, and seraphim crying holy, until the prophet fell to his knees, crying out about his unclean lips, exactly as Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 5 records. Is this towering chamber your Mount Sinai chosen one? Is this sacred space about to become the place where your true calling is unveiled, where heaven itself speaks your name and everything you thought you knew about your destiny is shattered and rebuilt in a single moment? Questions flood your mind like a hurricane. Who waits behind this veil of mystery? Why have you been brought to this holy, otherworldly sanctuary? Your heart pounds so hard you can hear it. The weight of the unknown presses against your thoughts until they feel fragile. The person you are about to meet is no ordinary soul. This is someone handpicked by the Almighty Himself, someone who walks in authority that makes kings tremble. What truths do they already know about you? What hidden things about your life, your purpose, your very identity have already been revealed to them in the secret place? The tension builds until it feels like the entire room is vibrating with holy expectation. You realize with stunning clarity that whatever happens next will forever divide your life into before and after. This moment, electric with divine life, feels like the opening sentence of a story infinitely larger than your own. A story written by the finger of God, long before you ever drew breath. Then the chamber falls into perfect stillness as a figure steps out from the shadows behind the throne. For one suspended heartbeat, time itself seems to freeze. Every candle flame stands perfectly motionless, as if creation itself is pausing to honor the one now entering. The air thickens with a tangible power that prickles across your skin like static before lightning strikes. This is no mere human being. Their very presence bends reality in the room. Your eyes cannot look away. They are clothed in a garment unlike anything ever woven by human hands. The fabric moves like it is alive, shifting and flowing with every breath they take. One moment it shimmers deep indigo like the midnight sky pregnant with stars. The next, it blazes golden like the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. It is a living tapestry woven from light and shadow, from glory and mystery. Every fold and seam carries eternal meaning. Intricate embroidery catches the light threads of silver and gold, flashing like lightning tiny jewels embedded in the fabric, scattering rainbow fragments across the walls in a silent, celestial dance. This is not a display of vanity. This is a mantle of divine appointment, a robe of authority bestowed by heavenly hands. As they move closer, the entire chamber seems to respond. The floor beneath their feet almost hums with recognition. Their steps are deliberate, unhurried, carrying the quiet rhythm of eternity. They stand tall, shoulders back, yet there is no arrogance, only the deep, unshakable confidence of someone who has stood in the fire of God's presence and come out refined. It is the kind of authority that does not demand respect. It simply commands it by existing a quiet strength that makes everything else in the room feel suddenly small. When their eyes finally meet yours, your breath catches in your throat. Those eyes. How can words ever capture what lives in those eyes? They are ancient oceans containing galaxies swirling with light and darkness, wisdom and wonder. It feels as though they have witnessed the birth of stars and the end of ages, holding secrets no human mind was ever meant to carry. Yet beneath the weight of eternity burns something warmer, something almost tender. A flicker of compassion, perhaps, or recognition gone almost as quickly as it appeared, hidden again behind an expression of perfect, unshakable composure. But that brief flash shakes you to your core. In that single glance, it feels as though they have seen straight through every layer of who you are, past every mask, past every wound, and into the deepest places you have never shown another living soul. Their face defies time itself, neither young nor old, but timeless and strangely achingly familiar, as if some part of your spirit has always known them. They elevate their hands, palms oriented upward. The epidermis is adorned with elaborate luminous motifs, shifting like animated imprints engraved into their tissue. The icons throb faintly as if conveying in a dialect surpassing auditory or visual means. You sense as though they are attempting to communicate something to you, but the significance eludes your grasp. When they articulate, their tone is gentle yet bears tremendous significance, a sonority that permeates the enclosure as though it is not merely one voice, but a symphony. Welcome, they utter the term, oscillating in the tranquility like a wave across a lagoon. You have reached a pivotal juncture, though you do not yet fathom the reason. Their expressions persist in the atmosphere more profound than the simple acoustics of discourse. It is as though they address not solely your hearing, but your very essence. Their stare intensifies, and you feel completely vulnerable, as though they are deciphering an unseen manuscript inscribed across your core. The experience is disconcerting, yet not antagonistic. They do not exploit their perception, but the magnitude of their cognizant aura leaves you feeling minuscule like a human in the obscurity of infinity. The gentle easing around their eyes suggests comprehension, even benevolence, but it is a benevolence moderated by the variety they bear, a variety that cannot be disregarded. In that instant, you recognize that they are not assessing you as a solitary entity, but as a vital component of a vastly larger scheme. You are not merely observed, but comprehended not for your actions exclusively, but for your role in a blueprint far surpassing your comprehension. The enclosure suspends its respiration as they advance nearer, the altering hues of their garments, amplifying, mirroring the escalating strain that saturates the surroundings like a gale on the cusp of unleashing. This is no simple administration authority. They are a receptacle of something immensely superior, a delegate of sacred intent, a link between the earthly and the everlasting. Every gesture, every utterance, every facet of their being emanates the dominion of one designated not by humanity, but by the Almighty. You stand in their presence, quivering with the burden of what you have yet to comprehend. This juncture is consecrated a pivot upon which the trajectory of your existence and conceivably the globe may pivot. In the sacred writings, such personas frequently manifest during critical junctures. The seer Samuel, dispatched by the Almighty, consecrated David, a herder youth, as the forthcoming sovereign of Israel, as noted in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 12 and 13. The archangel Gabriel materialized before Mary, conveying the holy announcement that she would bear the Son of God, in accordance with Luke chapter 1, verses 30 through 33. Each interaction was not simply a convergence, but a metamorphosis, a summons into a fate that would cascade through chronology. Could this persona before you represent your Gabriel, your Samuel? Could this be the instant when your commonplace existence is traded for a remarkable intent? Your heart is pounding so hard you can feel it in your throat, a steady, relentless drumbeat that matches the echo of their words still circling inside your skull. A defining moment. A defining moment. The phrase keeps repeating louder each time, like a bell that refuses to stop tolling. What does that even mean for someone like you? What exactly is waiting on the other side of this door, this room, this single conversation? A weight you can't name presses down on your chest, heavy and unfamiliar, squeezing the air from your lungs. Yet somewhere beneath the rising tide of fear, something else flickers, a tiny stubborn coal of hope refusing to be snuffed out. Is this why everything had to hurt so much? The unanswered prayers that left you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., the closed doors that slammed so hard you still feel the vibration in your bones, the nights you begged God for a sign, any sign, and were met with nothing but silence. Could it be that every tear, every betrayal, every season you thought would break you was actually steering you inch by agonizing inch toward this precise second in time? You are standing on the jagged edge of something vast, something so much bigger than the life you've known, and every breath you draw feels thicker charged, as if the very oxygen in the room has been supercharged with sacred electricity. You know deep in the place where knowing happens before words arrive that once the next minute unfolds, there will be no rewinding the tape, no going back to the version of you who walked into this building an hour ago. Whatever is about to happen will redraw the map of your existence, and the realization lands like a stone in still water. This is the point of no return. The room itself seems to hold its breath, Sterile, fluorescent lights hum overhead, but they feel dimmer now, as though the real illumination is coming from somewhere else entirely. Officer James sits across the table, motionless, studying you with a gaze that cuts straight through skin and pretense. His eyes aren't cruel, but they are unrelenting, ancient, almost searching for something far beneath the surface of the person sitting in front of him. The silence stretches thick and heavy, pressing against your eardrums until it feels like a living thing coiling around your wrists, your ankles, your throat. Time slows to a crawl. You can hear the faint tick of his watch, the soft rustle of paper as he shifts a file you haven't been allowed to see. Every second in that quiet carves you open a little more, stripping away the defenses you didn't even realize you were still clinging to. When he finally speaks, the sound is low, resonant, vibrating in your sternum as much as in your ears. There's a timbre to his voice you've never encountered before, something that seems to bounce off the walls and come back layered, as if unseen voices are speaking in perfect unison just behind the range of human hearing. "You've been wondering why you're here," he says. Not a question, a statement that lands with absolute certainty. The words slice clean through the tension like a heated blade through silk. Calm, measured, yet carrying an authority that makes the air itself stand at attention. There is no accusation in his tone, no threat, and yet every syllable feels final, as if denial is no longer an option the universe is willing to entertain. Your pulse spikes again, a sudden roar in your ears. An involuntary tightness seizes your throat, making it hard to swallow, hard to breathe. You try to hold his gaze, but it's almost too much like looking directly into a light that sees everything you've ever hidden. He's not just reading your face. He's reading your soul, flipping through pages of your life you thought were sealed forever. The silence that follows is excruciating, deliberately prolonged, just long enough to leave you utterly exposed, standing emotionally naked at the edge of an abyss you can sense but cannot yet name. Then he leans forward slightly, and when he speaks again, his voice drops to something closer to a whisper, intimate, almost conspiratorial, yet heavy with a truth you're not sure you're ready to carry. "I know about that incident." The words hit you like a physical blow, a sudden crack of lightning that illuminates corners of your mind you boarded up years ago. Images flash uninvited, a rainy night, a decision made in a split second of panic, the sound of your own voice saying things you've never admitted aloud since. You feel the memories rush back in vivid color, the metallic taste of fear, the weight of consequence you've carried alone for so long. Your stomach drops. How could he possibly know? You buried that. You burned every bridge that could lead back to it, and yet here it is exhumed in a single sentence lying between you on the cold metal table like evidence you can no longer deny. The shame is instant, hot and familiar, curling around your ribs. You wonder if he can see it too, the regret that still wakes you some nights, the quiet terror that one day everything would catch up. You search his face for judgment, for disgust, for the gavel you're certain you deserve, but it isn't there. Only knowing, only calm. He lets the moment breathe, lets the weight settle, then continues softer still. "I know what you wanted." For the briefest second, something tender flickers across his expression like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. The shift is so unexpected it nearly undoes you, because now he's touching something else entirely. The dreams you stopped speaking out loud years ago, the hopes you folded up and tucked away in the darkest drawer of your heart. The longings you decided were too big, too late, too impossible. The ones you've never told another living soul, not your spouse, not your best friend, not even the ceiling in the middle of the night when prayer felt safer than people. How could he possibly know those? And yet the way he says it makes it feel as though he's held them in his hands, turned them over gently, seen their worth when you had long since declared them dead. Relief and terror collide inside your chest. Someone else sees. Someone else knows the real shape of your heart, the beautiful parts you were afraid to believe in anymore. But he isn't finished. His gaze intensifies again, steady, unwavering, and his next words slide in like a blade you didn't see coming. "And I know what you're afraid of." The tremor that runs through you this time is visible. You feel it ripple down your arms. Because now he's naming the shadows, the late-night terrors that creep in when the house is finally quiet. The fears you've never dared voice because speaking them might make them real. The dread that you're too broken to ever be used, too late to ever be redeemed, that the best parts of your story are already behind you, and all that's left is damage control. The fear that if anyone ever saw the whole truth, the incident, the dreams, the cowardice, the longing, they would walk away and never look back. Then arrives the declaration that rattles you to your foundation, even the ambitions you refuse to acknowledge possessing. His eyes appear to sparkle with an informed luminescence, and you feel revealed in a manner you have never encountered previously. How could he conceivably be informed about the goals you have repressed, the yearnings interred beneath pragmatism, trepidation, or self-mistrust? The absolute magnitude of being so thoroughly comprehended is overwhelming, rendering you without breath. But then his bearing shifts anew, and a keener sharpness infiltrates his tone. But even beyond that, he articulates, advancing nearer, I am aware of what the globe remains ignorant, the variety that unites us. The atmosphere in the enclosure seems to undulate with the significance of those expressions. It is as if the very structure of being recognizes their profundity, bearing down upon you with an unseen might. Your respiration halts, and your intellect hastens to grasp the enormity of what he is conveying. This is not solely about you. It concerns something immensely superior, a narrative that interlaces through chronology and expanse, linking you both in ways you are only commencing to perceive. There is a narrative interlaced through the ages. He proceeds, his tone more subdued now, but no less potent, embedded into the spirits of those designated to peer beyond the veil. We are not merely participants, we are guardians of that narrative. The profundity of his expressions compresses into your thorax, resonating with a verity you cannot yet identify. The awareness descends heavily upon you. This is not merely about fate. It is about being entrusted with wisdom so deep that it affects every facet of being. You reflect on the scriptural accounts where the Almighty unveiled his intentions to those he selected. Abraham was summoned to abandon all he recognized to accomplish a holy pledge, as outlined in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Joseph, whose visions transported him from disloyalty to serving as a conduit of deliverance for his kin, as expressed in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. These were not commonplace individuals. They were chosen to bear encumbrances and verities far exceeding themselves. Is this your instant of summons? Has the Almighty drawn you here to disclose a verity that will eternally modify the direction of your life? The enclosure appears more confined now, the atmosphere electrified with potency and importance. Every inhalation feels more substantial, as if you are drawing in more than mere oxygen, something otherworldly, something consecrated. This locale, concealed from the scrutiny of the world, is not intended for casual interactions. This is where fates are recognized, where the significance of holy verity bears down upon the human essence. Officer James advances another stride, his garments shimmering with their alternating shades of amber and indigo, echoing the strain that permeates the surroundings. His stare maintains yours, unyielding but not harsh. It is as if he is awaiting for you to align with the awareness he has already attained. Whatever wisdom he holds is not merely a confidential matter. It is an obligation, a verity, that has been protected across eras. You are no longer merely an observer in your own existence. The bond between you and this enigmatic persona is indisputable, forged by something far superior to mere happenstance. The inquiry is not whether your existence will transform, it is how. What function will you fulfill in the narrative that is unfolding? As the quietude extends, you comprehend that this is not simply a dialogue. It is a boundary, a juncture that separates your life into prior and subsequent. The verity that unites you to Officer James is no longer merely a disclosure. It is an invitation to enter a fate you never envisioned. What transpires next will cascade across the structure of all you have ever recognized. You can only trust that you are prepared. The environment in the chamber intensifies further with more profound obscurity. Shadows deepen subtly, slinking along the barriers, as if attracted to the seriousness of what is on the verge of being unveiled. Officer James halts, his garment gleaming in subdued ashen hues that reflect the grave significance of his expressions. For an instant, his stare sharpens, evaluating whether you are genuinely equipped to confront what follows. When he articulates, his tone descends, each expression measured, an intentional bearing the significance of unrecounted chronicles. There are influences at play. He commences his inflection, chilling both earthly and celestial, that have been engaging in a contest more ancient than society itself. The expressions impact you like a frigid gust, dispatching a shiver along your backbone. The atmosphere densifies, pulsating with strain as the oscillating taper illumination becomes more agitated. Shadows bound and contort across the relics and artifacts, their motions a mute echo of the chamber's unrest. The officer's stare, somber and fervent, maintains yours as he proceeds. You presume the globe is directed by observable influences. Countries, authorities, riches, and sway, but what you fail to perceive, what the majority will never grasp, is the alliance that flourishes in the interstices between structure and disorder. He halts, permitting the disclosure to permeate his expressions, suspended in the surroundings like a tempest cloud prepared to unleash. Your intellect reels, could such an alliance truly exist, orchestrating occurrences beyond human understanding? Are the frameworks of authority you have relied upon mere veneers, disguises for an obscured organization functioning invisibly? The notion is nearly too expansive to comprehend, yet the assurance in his tone allows no space for skepticism. They manipulate the chords. He continues his inflection, stiffening not for riches or dominance exclusively, but for something considerably more primordial, something everlasting. The oscillating tapers appear to become more unpredictable, their radiance projecting disordered configurations throughout the space. This contest, he articulates, his tone reducing to a near murmur, is more ancient than the ascension and decline of dominions, more ancient than communication itself. A contest that has been waged since the dawn of chronology. The ramifications grasp at your consciousness like talons. News reports you have perused, governmental upheavals and inexplicable calamities resurface in your reflections. Could they all represent strands in this immense, elaborate fabric? Was each a calculated maneuver in a contest so primordial that it transcends human reasoning? The significance of these contemplations bears down upon you, stifling yet invigorating. Then his tone slices through your spiraling reflections like a keen edge. And you, he articulates, his expressions landing like a thunderous explosion, are inadvertently a component on that playing field. The chamber appears to shrink, the shadows advancing nearer, magnifying the significance of his disclosure. Your pulse hastens as you endeavor to assimilate what this signifies. Your behaviors, your selections have not escaped notice. His stare is steadfast, infused with an odd blend of sympathy and unyielding determination. You are considerably more enmeshed in this strife than you could ever envision. The expressions strike you with the potency of foresight, and recollections begin to emerge. Instances you dismissed as fortuitous meetings, odd coincidences, or inexplicable turns of destiny. Were they all elements of this primordial contest? The determinations you enacted, the routes you traversed, did they serve an objective greater than you comprehended? Chosen ones. If your eyes are displaying these signs, your spirit is awakening rapidly. You might find yourself staring at your hands, the familiar contours of a room, or someone speaking, their gestures comforting and known. Yet suddenly you feel detached from the moment, as if your gaze is watching from a distance, not physically but energetically, as though your true self has shifted just behind your face, observing your life rather than fully living it. Have you felt this subtle yet unmistakable sensation, this gentle internal pull? It arrives without dizziness or discomfort, like a sacred whisper only your spirit can hear. You might blink rapidly or shake your head, trying to reconnect, assuming you're just tired or drifting mentally. But what if, chosen one, you're not zoning out, but waking up? This is not a neurological glitch. It is the sacred signature of your ego and higher self beginning to diverge. The identity you've carried, tied to routines, opinions, and societal roles, is loosening its grip. Why? Because your soul is ready to take the lead. Your eyes. Those ancient gateways between your spirit and the world are the first to reflect this shift. What was once simple observation now carries profound meaning. Your gaze no longer just captures what's before you. It questions the essence of what's seen. Why does this moment feel like a dream? Why does everything look familiar, yet feel so far away? Could your spirit be reminding you that this world is not your eternal home? Matthew chapter 6, verse 22 declares, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light." This moment of inner separation is the cleansing of your spiritual lens. God is purifying your vision, chosen one, so you may see not as the world sees, but as the Spirit discerns. You are being invited to perceive life with divine clarity, piercing the veil of illusion. Consider Eckhart Tolle, who before becoming a renowned spiritual teacher, faced a deep existential crisis. One night, overwhelmed by despair, he felt detached from his thoughts, as if a silent observer within him took control. He later described this as the moment his ego dissolved, and from that night, the world appeared radiant, serene, and holy. Could this be unfolding in you, chosen one? Have you caught your reflection and wondered if it's truly you looking back, or something far wiser gazing through you? This is not your imagination. It is the sacred part of you, the eternal self coming alive. Your soul is rising, and your physical form is adjusting. It may feel strange, even lonely, but do not pull back. This is not your mind unraveling. It is your awareness being reborn. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 7 proclaims God's purpose to open eyes that are blind, to free captives from prison, and to release from the dungeon those who sit in darkness. Your spiritual eyes are opening to truth and freedom, drawing you from shallow perception into the depths of your divine calling. You are not merely a human with a spiritual side. You are a spirit navigating a temporary human experience. When your perception shifts, it signals your mission drawing closer. Look at Nikola Tesla, whose brilliance transcended invention. He spoke of receiving visions and sudden inspirations, seeing entire machines in vivid detail before building them. These were not mere mental images, but spiritual revelations, his mind and spirit in harmony. He changed the world because he was tuned in. What are you beginning to see that others miss, chosen one? In these moments of energetic detachment, your ego may panic, whispering that you're losing focus or becoming too different. Do not heed that voice. You are not malfunctioning. You are maturing, living from the inside out, shedding the filters that once dulled your spiritual senses. You are remembering what it means to be fully present, not just in the world, but above it. Paul affirms in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 18, "So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." Your inner vision is taking precedence, perceiving patterns, energies, and divine connections behind every encounter. This is not a burden, but a sacred calling. Even Jim Carrey, celebrated for his comedic genius, experienced moments of ego collapse, describing life as a movie, he observed. By leaning into this awareness, he found freedom in detaching from ego identity. Your awakening, like his, may be preparing you for a purpose far greater than your past self could carry. When did you last pause and ask, "Who is watching through my eyes?" Have you stared into the void? Not from emptiness, but from wonder, divine memory stirring within. That out-of-body sensation is not an accident, it is a doorway. Will you walk through it? Jesus confirms in John chapter 9, verse 39, "For judgment I have come into this world, so that the blind may see, and those who see may become blind." Your clarity is not for amusement, but for transformation, reintroducing you to your eternal essence. Oprah Winfrey speaks of whispers from the universe, gentle nudges from a deeper place. These may begin in your eyes, seeing a familiar face, as if glimpsing their soul. Do not dismiss this as instability. It is sacred sensitivity. When your vision softens into observer mode, ask, what truth is being revealed through me? You are no longer just seeing the world, you are reading it, interpreting it, and preparing to transform it. Your eyes are awakening because your spirit is rising, falling into divine alignment. Chosen one, another subtle yet profound sign is excessive blinking. In ordinary moments, mid-conversation, scrolling your phone or sitting in silence, you notice yourself blinking more than usual. It seems harmless, perhaps dry eyes or fatigue. But what if it's not merely physical? What if your blinking is a sign that your spirit is recalibrating to a higher frequency, tuning to something divine beyond your conscious mind? Have you noticed this happening in certain spaces or around specific people? Your soul may know something your mind hasn't yet grasped. Most overlook this, but as a chosen one, you are meant to interpret these signs. During spiritual awakening, blinking becomes more than a reflex. It is a subconscious reset your body, pausing to process a flood of unseen energies. You are perceiving intentions, vibrations, and emotional residues your soul already understands. This blinking is not weakness, but wisdom. Your nervous system managing energetic input like a computer screen flickering under data overload. Your inner software is upgrading with spiritual insights, ancestral memories, and divine codes. You are not just seeing what's before you. You are sensing what lies beneath. Ask, what truth is my spirit processing? Am I blinking to escape discomfort or to prepare for clarity? John chapter 16 verse 13 assures, "When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth." This truth arrives gently through instincts, even a flutter of eyelids. Whoopi Goldberg, known for her vibrant presence, spoke of blinking frequently in crowds overwhelmed by energies she felt like static. What others called anxiety was her spiritual attunement. Your blinking may be your system adapting to spiritual overload, protecting your energy field. Psalm chapter 121 verse 7 promises, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life." This divine protection manifests through instincts like blinking, guarding your spirit in unfamiliar terrain. Kyrie Irving, beyond his athletic fame, described perceiving energy fields needing to close his eyes momentarily in certain environments. Your blinking in churches, concerts, or gatherings may reflect your soul absorbing invisible frequencies. It is not strain, but discernment, your body resetting between dimensions. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14 explains, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness." Your blinking is not foolishness, it is discernment, a tool of your awakening. Stop doubting yourself. You are perceiving something deeper. Pay attention to where and with whom this happens. These patterns are messages from your higher self, urging you to slow down and process spiritually. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 2 promises, "The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord." This Spirit rests on you, chosen one, granting the gift of filtering energy. Your blinking is a momentary reset, preparing you for clearer guidance and deeper wisdom. His presence towers larger than existence, his garments now a turbulent ash rippling with the identical restless vitality that crackles in the surroundings. It is as if the chamber itself echoes the seriousness of this juncture, reflecting the whirlwind of potentials unfolding before you. For a moment, you feel as though you are positioned at the brink of a void, balancing on the edge. One erroneous advance could signify a descent into obscurity, a conclusion without reversal. You can align with the potency I embody. He articulates his inflection, altering, conveying both a pledge and a caution. The significance of his expressions bears upon you, permitting no space for misconstruction. This is not simply a proposition of loyalty. It is a summons into a domain of inconceivable sway. Behind his unyielding stare lies the assurance of strength, not the variety derived from governance or affluence, but something vastly superior. It is the strength to mold the progression of chronicles, to occupy the intersection of destiny and guide its course. It is thrilling and frightening. Before you can assimilate the enormity of his expressions, his countenance solidifies, or confront the repercussions of departing. The chamber appears to constrict around you, the ramifications of his declaration clutching you like metallic restraints. What would it signify to decline? Visions flash through your consciousness, being hunted by invisible entities, adrift in a sea of ambiguity or worse, transforming into a helpless figure in a contest where you no longer retain even the pretense of selection. The notion dispatches a tremor through you, each potential more ominous than the previous. The officer's stare remains anchored on you, inflexible, as though he can already foresee the result of your determination. The pathway we traverse in unity can culminate in splendor or devastation. He articulates his tone, descending, bearing a subtle quiver of something unanticipated. Human fragility, perhaps, or uncertainty. It flickers momentarily in his eyes before vanishing behind his resolute determination. It hinges on your behaviors and fidelity. His expressions settle over you like a substantial cloak, their implication evident. This is no elementary selection. It is an examination, one that will delineate not merely who you are, but what you are prepared to evolve into. The risks are elevated beyond your grasp, and every strand of your essence senses the significance of the determination before you. Will you affiliate yourself with influences you scarcely comprehend, entering a realm of obscurity and radiance where variety is elusive and ethics are ambiguous? Or will you depart, hazarding estrangement from the influences that appear to grasp the strands of your destiny? The sacred texts are abundant with junctures like this, where persons confront defining determinations that modify the course of their existences and chronicles themselves. Contemplate Joshua's exhortation to the Israelites, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve as Joshua." Chapter 24, verse 15 urges. Or Peter, who had to resolve whether to accompany Jesus despite the perils and ambiguities of adherence as depicted in Matthew chapter 16, verse 24. Each selection bore immense ramifications, cascading through chronology and molding the existences of innumerable others. Could this juncture represent your own holy trial, a summons to enter a role far surpassing yourself? The oscillating taper luminescence projects shifting obscurities on the relics surrounding you, their erratic motions echoing the upheaval in your consciousness. The officer's expressions resound in your reflections. This is a crossroads. The seriousness of the instant is indisputable. Every component of you senses the significance of this selection. The awareness that your determination will shape not merely your existence, but conceivably the existences of many others. The chamber appears to suspend its respiration, awaiting you to vocalize, to resolve. You gaze into the officer's eyes and discern something deeper than dominion, a blend of sympathy and relentless determination. It is as though he comprehends the encumbrance he is imposing upon you, yet recognizes it cannot be evaded. What will you select? The atmosphere itself appears to inquire, the quietude pulsating with unspoken expectancy. As you stand there, every inhalation feels more substantial, every reflection more monumental. This is not solely about aligning yourself with potency or evading its ire. It is about entering a narrative larger than your own. A narrative inscribed by influences far more ancient and sagacious than you can conceive. Whatever selection you enact, one verity is evident: nothing will ever remain unchanged. The enclosure appears to draw nearer around you as the dialogue deepens, each expression uttered by Officer James, unraveling verities too expansive to grasp, yet impossible to reject. Their stare locks onto yours, steadfast and fervent, their eyes mirroring a combination of seriousness and something more fleeting, compassion perhaps, or the mutual burden of a primordial load. You adjust uneasily, the enormity of their expressions bearing down on you like an invisible power, suffocating yet illuminating. The relics and artifacts encircling you, once simple curios, now throb with a subtle importance. It feels as if the chamber itself is sentient, a mute observer to the emerging disclosure. You originate from a bloodline that is far from typical. James articulates their tone laden with sentiment. It is not victory nor sorrow, but a grave recognition of an unavoidable verity. A verity that now ties you to the significance of this juncture. Your intellect hastens recollections flashing like shards of a disregarded enigma. Familial meals, blurred images, and evening tales inundate your thoughts. Ordinary instants you never considered questioning. Nothing in those recollections suggested anything exceptional, no indication of a heritage connected to something this grand. And yet as James speaks, an awareness gradually envelops you, sluggish and oppressive. There was more to those instants than you ever perceived. Could the fragments of ancient familial narratives, unusual customs, or murmured cautions have been clues directing toward this juncture? Your bloodline is interwoven with primordial foretellings that stretch back through the annals of time itself. James proceeds with his explanation, his tone carrying an almost reverential quality that underscores the sacred weight of what he is sharing. Accounts that were murmured in ancient dialects long lost to the modern world. Dialects spoken by ancestors who guarded these secrets with fierce devotion, passing them down across countless eras through oral traditions. Hidden scrolls and whispered legacies held only by those who truly comprehended their profound value and the dangers of their revelation. These stories weren't mere folklore. They were encoded prophecies layered with symbols and warnings, designed to preserve a divine thread running through generations, ensuring that the right heirs would one day awaken to their inheritance. The weight of his expressions settles deep in your thorax like a massive boulder, unyielding and immovable, pressing against your ribs and making each breath a conscious effort. Your fists tighten involuntarily at your flanks, knuckles whitening as you grasp for something solid, something grounding amid the swirling chaos of emotions, while the immensity of their assertion takes root in your mind, sprouting questions and doubts that branch out like roots delving into fertile soil. How could it possibly be that you, someone immersed in the mundane routines of everyday life, juggling routine concerns like bills, relationships, and daily stresses, along with unexceptional struggles that seem all too human and ordinary, are inextricably linked to something this immense, this profoundly consequential on a cosmic scale? It's a connection that defies logic, challenging everything you've ever assumed about your origins and your place in the grand scheme. You feel as though the very terrain beneath your feet is crumbling away layer by layer, the stable foundation of your actuality. The reality you've built your identity upon, suddenly supplanted by something vast and unfathomable, an abyss of unknown depths that swallows familiar certainties and replaces them with a dizzying expanse of possibility and peril. The officer advances even nearer, now closing the distance with deliberate steps that echo softly in the charged silence of the chamber. His garments shimmering subtly in subdued shades of azure and argent colors that evoke the cool depths of ocean mysteries and the gleaming purity of moonlight hues that seem to pulse and echo the very significance of destiny itself, as if the fabric is woven from threads of fate drawn from the stars. His tone lowers further, dropping to a hushed intensity that still manages to permeate the entire chamber with an uncanny distinctness and clarity resonating off the walls and ceiling, as if the barriers themselves, ancient and imbued with their own hidden energies, are enhancing and amplifying his expressions, turning his voice into something more than mere words, almost a vibrational force that seeps into your bones. The forthcoming events, the unfolding of history in the days and years ahead, hinges entirely on a resolution you will enact. Shortly, they articulate with measured precision, each sound deliberate and weighted, engraving itself indelibly into your consciousness like chisel marks on stone, leaving impressions that you know will linger long after this moment fades. The chamber itself seems to tilt faintly on its axis, the air growing thicker and more electric, charged with a raw possibility that could fracture and branch out in any direction imaginable, splintering into paths of triumph or tragedy. Your heartbeat accelerates wildly, pounding in your ears like a drumbeat of impending doom or glory, as the full significance of their declaration settles over you like a heavy cloak, enveloping your thoughts and forcing you to confront the gravity of it all. The enormity of your function in this grand design becomes utterly undeniable, a role that expands far beyond personal ambition, demanding that you acknowledge the ripples your choices will send through time. This revelation is not solely about you and your individual story, nor is it even confined to this extraordinary encounter or the enigmatic persona standing before you, radiating authority and ancient knowledge. It concerns the very structure of Chronicles itself, the intricate framework of human history and divine intervention, a vast fabric woven with meticulous care long prior to your arrival on this earth. Its strands composed of countless lives, events, and celestial decisions now converging in a symphony of purpose, drawing you inexorably toward an inescapable resolution that has been building for ages. You sense the powerful attraction of destiny like an unrelenting current in a mighty river, pulling at your very essence with a force that is both terrifying and invigorating, unavoidable no matter how you might resist or question it. What could this pivotal selection possibly entail? This decision that hangs in the balance like a sword over your head. What determination could possess such universal significance, impacting not just your immediate world, but echoing across realms seen and unseen, altering the course of souls yet unborn? Your reflections swirl chaotically in a tempest of apprehension that knots your stomach. Skepticism that whispers doubts about whether this could all be real or some elaborate illusion, and a peculiar undercurrent of hesitant exhilaration that bubbles up unexpectedly. A thrill at the prospect of being part of something eternal, even as fear claws at the edges of your resolve. The officer appears to detect your inner conflict with keen intuition, their stare mellowing for a fleeting instant, softening around the edges like a storm cloud parting briefly to reveal a glimpse of sunlight. There is an almost fatherly attribute in their tone as they append their advice, a protective warmth laced with wisdom earned from hardships untold. Select judiciously with care and foresight. The expressions serve as a caution, mild, yet resolute and unyielding, akin to the counsel offered by a seasoned elder who has observed far too many errors committed in moments of obliviousness or undue rush mistakes that led to ruin where prudence could have forged paths to victory. For it is not merely your own existence that will be influenced by this choice, hanging in the delicate balance of free will and divine orchestration, but the very structure of our shared realm. The interconnected web of societies, spirits, and destinies that make up the world as we know it. The chamber feels vibrantly alive now, humming with a palpable strain that crackles in the surroundings around you like static electricity before a lightning strike, building tension that makes the hairs on your arms stand on end. Every inhalation feels amplified, drawing in not just air, but the essence of the moment itself. Each second elongated and stretched thin as if even chronology itself. That relentless march of time is pausing in respectful anticipation, awaiting your reply with bated breath. You scrutinize the officer's demeanor intently, your eyes searching desperately for any subtle indication, a flicker or hint of what they might desire or expect you to do in this crucible of decision, but their countenance remains inscrutable, a mask of composed neutrality that reveals nothing, their impartiality disconcerting and almost frustrating, as though they place full trust in the profound significance of your selection, believing in your ability to navigate it without interference, respecting the sacred autonomy of your soul's journey. Abruptly, as if triggered by the weight of the revelation, recollections begin to resurface from the depths of your memory. Fragments you had previously dismissed as trivial or insignificant, now acquiring fresh significance and glowing with new meaning. The peculiar practices your guardians insisted upon during family gatherings. Rituals that seemed odd but were performed with quiet solemnity. The narratives your forebears recounted with an unusual ardor and intensity. Stories of distant relatives who vanished under mysterious circumstances or achieved inexplicable feats. The familial treasures transmitted down the line without any clarification or backstory. Objects like old pendants, faded letters, or engraved rings that you tucked away in drawers, never questioning their origins. Each element begins to align into sharper focus, piecing together like a puzzle, long forgotten, forming a clearer depiction of a verity that has been quietly awaiting its opportunity to surface, bubbling up from the subconscious to demand acknowledgement. It is staggering in its scope, overwhelming your senses and challenging your grip on reality, but deep within the core of your being, and it feels as though this disclosure was always inevitable, a predestined unveiling that your spirit has been subconsciously preparing for all along, like a seed buried in soil, finally breaking through to the light. In the sacred texts that have guided believers for millennia, Disclosures of bloodline and destiny are frequently pivotal junctures in the lives of the selected moments where ordinary individuals are thrust into extraordinary roles that alter the course of history. Consider Moses adopted into the opulent residence of the ruler Pharaoh, who uncovered his authentic identity as a Hebrew descendant and received his summons to guide the Almighty's chosen people out of the chains of bondage and into freedom. A turning point vividly illustrated in Exodus chapter 3, verses 9 and 10, where God reveals the cries of his people and commissions Moses despite his initial doubts and hesitations. In a similar vein, the ancestry of Jesus was meticulously connected to foretellings uttered generations prior to his arrival on earth. Prophecies that wove through kings, prophets, and humble folk alike, ultimately verifying his function in the salvation and redemption of humanity from sin and separation as chronicled in detail in Matthew chapter 1, verses 1 through 17, tracing a lineage from Abraham through David and beyond, fulfilling promises that spanned centuries. Could your own familial chronicle hold comparable importance, layered with hidden prophecies and divine appointments waiting to be activated? Could you be part of a heritage that binds earthly lives to holy objectives, a lineage chosen not by chance, but by eternal design to carry forth missions of restoration, justice, and spiritual warfare? As the awareness of this profound connection settles over you like a warm yet intense light, piercing through layers of doubt and illuminating forgotten truths, you comprehend with crystal clarity that this is not a mere disclosure to be overlooked or filed away as interesting trivia. It is a summons of the highest order, a clarion call to enter a role you never solicited or even imagined for yourself, but one that you can no longer repudiate or turn away from without consequence. The world as you recognized it, with its comfortable routines and limited horizons, has vanished, entirely evaporated like mist in the morning sun, replaced by a vast terrain of selections that branch like rivers, ramifications that could echo for eternities, and a destiny that has been inscribed across generations through the careful hand of the divine. And now, as the officer's stare maintains yours with unwavering intensity, locking eyes in a moment suspended in time, it is evident beyond any shadow of doubt that the moment has arrived to claim it fully, to step forward and embrace the mantle that has been waiting for you. The gathering concludes with a substantial and profound quietude that envelops the space like a thick blanket, muffling even the faintest echoes as Officer James conveys their departing expressions, each one carefully interwoven with a grave admonition that carries the weight of foresight and warning words meant to linger and guide long after they are spoken. Recall and hold fast to this: all that you undertake from this point forward will be meticulously observed and scrutinized, not solely by me in my capacity here, but by those shadowy entities and forces who seek to mold this realm to their own intricate blueprint, twisting events and lives to fit their agendas. Now depart from this place with caution and do not disclose a single detail of this encounter to any individual, no matter how trusted, for secrets like these are seeds that could sprout into dangers unforeseen. The seriousness of the juncture suspend in the atmosphere all around, compressing against your thorax like a tangible power that restricts your movements and thoughts, a reminder of the stakes involved. You incline your head in silent acknowledgement, the immensity of what you have absorbed still permeating every fiber of your being, sinking deeper into your soul like ink into parchment, and pivot slowly to exit your steps measured and deliberate. The chamber recedes into obscurity behind you, its enigmas and artifacts fading into the shadows, yet persisting vividly in your consciousness, replaying in loops that demand contemplation. As you emerge into the fresh, invigorating air outside, free from the oppressive weight of the enclosed space, the metropolis extends before you in all its sprawling glory, vibrant with its customary vitality and the ceaseless hum of human activity, people rushing about their lives, unaware of the cosmic dramas unfolding in hidden corners. Yet something fundamental feels irrevocably modified within you, a shift that colors everything anew. The illuminations from streetlights and buildings appear more vivid and piercing, cutting through the evening dusk with unnatural clarity, the avenues more clamorous and alive with sounds that now seem laced with hidden meanings. But the reality you once comprehended so comfortably, the one filled with simple explanations and predictable patterns, now seems unfamiliar, nearly foreign and detached, like viewing the world through a distorted lens where nothing is quite as it appeared. The significance of the wisdom imparted adheres to you, stubbornly clinging like a second skin, rendering every advance you take feel intentional yet laden with ambiguity. Each footfall a potential step into uncharted territory where alliances and enemies blur. As you blend back into the flow of daily existence, navigating crowds and routines that once felt rote, the inquiry continues to resound relentlessly in your reflections, echoing like a persistent whisper. What function do you genuinely fulfill in this elaborate contest of holy and earthly risks? A game where spiritual forces clash with mortal ambitions, the solution feels enticingly near, hovering just beyond reach, like a word on the tip of your tongue, yet painfully elusive, requiring patience and discernment to fully grasp. It is a verity you will have to uncover gradually, one phase at a time, through signs, trials, and further revelations. One matter is certain beyond any debate: your existence will never return to what it was. That simpler version of self now forever altered, propelled into a narrative of purpose and peril that demands your full engagement. We appreciate you accompanying us on this profound expedition into the realms of enigma, where hidden truths lurk in the shadows. Disclosure, where veils are lifted to reveal divine intentions, and fate, where choices shape eternities. If this narrative motivated your spirit, sparked a fire within, or connected deeply with your own experiences and questions, we would be immensely thankful for your assistance via the Super Thanks feature, as it directly enables us to persist in producing substantive material that touches lives and spreads messages of hope. Whether you opt to donate or not, we profoundly value your attendance here, your time spent journeying with us through these stories that blend faith and mystery. If you found this enjoyable and thought-provoking, remember to endorse it with a like, distribute it among your circles to spark discussions, and share your personal opinions in the responses section below. We would be delighted to learn how this narrative influenced you, what insights it unlocked, or even how it mirrored events in your own life. Additionally, if you have not done so already, press the subscription option without delay, and activate alerts to remain linked with additional material crafted specifically to elevate your faith, motivate your actions, and stimulate reflection on the deeper mysteries of existence. May your journey ahead be richly favored by grace, and may you discover lucidity in confusion, bravery in uncertainty, and strength in your personal holy expedition that unfolds day by day.